we want to factor this one by grouping. We have 4y to the fourth plus y squared plus 20y cubed plus 5y. And right off the bat, anytime you want to factor, and this goes for anything you're ever wanting to factor, you always want to start by factoring a GCF. So factor the GCF, and I mean out of the whole thing. I'm not even talking about the little grouping GCFs. I'm talking the whole GCF first. Okay, and this goes for factoring trinomials, really factoring anything. Factor the GCF first. So let's look at this. What do we have? Well, notice how every single term has a y in it. If you don't factor a y here, you're going to have to factor it at the end anyway, or else it's not going to be completely factored. So it's not like you get away with anything by ignoring the entire GCF. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's factor out our GCF, and then we'll look at the grouping. So here we have 4y cubed plus y plus 20y squared plus 5. Cool. Okay. Now we can do our groups. First group, second group. All right, so I'm looking at this first group. I'm thinking we have a mini GCF here of just y, right? The smallest power, when you have two bases with the same exponent, the smallest one goes into the GCF. Over here, let's see, we have 20 and 5. Well, 5 goes into 20, so that's our GCF. So we will keep this y out to the front here and then do our factoring inside. I'm going to change this to square brackets just so we can do parentheses inside. Oftentimes when you do parentheses inside parentheses, you change the outer ones to square brackets. You don't have to though. Okay, so let's see. We factor out a GCF of y from the first group. That leaves us with 4y squared plus 1. And our GCF is 5 in the second group, again leaving us with 4y squared plus 1. Which is good news. These should match. If they don't match, back to the drawing board, something's gone wrong. Okay, so let's factor these. Let's factor these out to the right. Okay, so I'm taking this one factor. It's just one factor, and going out to the right with it. So that leaves us with this y is still hanging out in the front. This is the same y. Here's the y again. Now we factored the 4y squared plus 1 over to the right. And what's left behind? Well, we have this y plus 5 left behind. So y plus 5 right there. And there's our factored form. If you didn't factor the GCF first, you would get something like, let's see here. You might get something like y squared plus 5y here for one of these terms, right? And then you would have to know, you'd have to look at this at the end and say, oh, look, I can still factor a y out of that. So then you'd have to factor the y out anyway. Okay, so either factor the GCF out in the beginning and make life easier, or make life harder and factor it out at the end and then risk forgetting to factor it out at the end. So I definitely recommend factor out the GCF first.